In this movie, we will begin building complex styles. Styles are a huge time saver. They allow you to create a uniformity of look across your animation, and they also allow you to update that look throughout your animation by changing the style, and it automatically publishes to every object that uses that style. The problem with styles is that if you're unfamiliar or not paying attention to some of the options, then you can create just a nightmare for yourself working on projects because an option wasn't checked and it allows certain things to happen. So we will look at how to prevent that, or at least be aware of those options so that you can be a lot smarter when you work and build them for your own files. Now, there are 3 styles we're going to build. One is a stroke style because you can create them independently for components of a shape. So we've got stroke, then you can do a fill, and then you can do a style that has both. So let's get started. The first thing we'll want to do is open the advanced portion of the style tab. So we'll come over to the style menu here and click on the little advanced checkbox down in the lower left-hand corner of that. That opens up and discloses some of the new options we have to work with. Let's look at what's presented in front of us real quickly to understand how it's broken up, because some of it looks familiar. We've got our swatch palette down here, which can be changed to any other type of swatch palette that's recommended here. You've still got the ability to copy and reset anything that's happening up here. Now, there is a Style 1 and Style 2. This is where you actually apply styles you have built to an object. So for any one of these squares here, if I wanted to apply a style, I would need to use the Shape Select tool under the Fill tool section, and then choose Apply Style. Now above this, it looks similar to the not advanced portion of the style palette here. And you can actually work with this open and dynamically change your shapes and objects just like you did before. But we've got this option up here now to create new styles. And this is the only time you get this pull-down menu to do this. So I'm going to create new. And let's name this one, I don't know, let's work on this stroke first. So we'll say soft stroke and click return. You can change the name at any time and it won't impact where the style's been applied, so that's good if you decide to name it something else. Let's look at our options. For the stroke, I don't want this style to care about the fill of any object it's applied to. So what I'm going to do is simply turn off the fill check button. When we come down to stroke, we've got 2 additional options. I can turn the stroke on or off. And since it's going to be a stroke style, I obviously want the stroke on. So I'm going to leave it checked with a black box here. The black being, of course, the color. If I wanted this to be blue or something like that, now's the time to designate that. Also, I'm going to want to add a brush stroke to this. So since brush strokes require a thicker width, I'm going to go ahead and increase this to, say, 20. Now, something very important to note. If the width checkbox is turned off, then this style will inherit whatever the width of the stroke is on the shape you select. I want consistency on the stroke, so I'm going to leave this checked so that it's 20 on everything I apply it to. But if I wanted some characters to have a thinner stroke or thicker stroke but the same type of brush applied to it, well, then I would disable this checkbox. Let's add a brush. I'm going to come down and use one of the new kind of multi-brushes they have, which are really cool. They allow you something that some of these other brushes don't, and that thing happens to be tint the brush using stroke color. Here's a little bit of variation that's going to get thrown in that can be adjusted on a per shape basis. So when I turn this on, this means that whatever the shape color is of the stroke is going to be picked up by this style and used. This brush will be applied to it, so I'll get consistency that way, but we can change the color of the object and have the stroke update. I'll choose OK. With that done, our first style is completed. Let's go ahead and create a new style. And let's do a texture fill on this one. I put together a texture that we can use on this. I'll just name it texture fill. On this one, it doesn't really matter what color it is because I'm going to go to the Effects tab and we'll choose Image Texture. If you have access to the working files, we can go ahead and select a texture from the working area, and that will be the grass dry texture, something I put together for a 3D modeling program. We'll choose that. I want it to tile, that is, it will repeat if the shape gets larger than the tile size. And we can also have it go through transparency if we want it to. I'll leave that off for the time being. We can change that later. So we've got a fill going on. You'll notice I didn't reset anything, so it's already picking up the stroke that we had before. I'm going to turn off the stroke, turn off the width, and now we have got a fill style that has an image texture. We'll call that a day and create a new style. Let's go ahead and do fill and stroke. In this case, I will go ahead and hit the reset button for this. You'll notice that we're still editing a style. And in this case, let's go ahead and make it blue, and we'll create a red stroke here. And we'll leave the width at 4. No special effects here. Well, maybe let's add one, something like shaded. We get our modal dialog box that pops up. Now we go ahead and see, yep, we've got that, and we can change anything here. I'll leave all the standard stuff as it is right now. Now, nothing has updated in our scene. Let's go ahead, and with these all done now, I can go ahead and come to my Shape Select tool. They all have just a default style applied. So if I click the first one, I can come over here and say Style 1. Let's go ahead and do Soft Stroke. And I see it immediately apply. Shape 2 will come down and apply Texture Fill. Then on this next one right here, I'll go ahead and apply our third one, which is Fill and Stroke. So we've got these basic shapes functioning just the way we built the style.